Howdy howdy, and welcome to the Tea Weasel, where we pair teas with movies for your enjoyment. Today we'll be looking at
Why didn't you just play a trumpet and sing the Star-Spangled Banner while you're at it?
I could give it a try. Oh, but I don't have a trumpet. And I don't know that song that well.
Wait, you don't want me to do that. I'm on to you, mister. I am on to you.
That's right, you guessed it, 2019's Missing Link, created by Laika. No, not the dog the Russians sent into space. The movie company, the stop motion one. Yeah, For this pairing, I am making the tea in the movie.
I'm sorry, what is this?
Yak stew.
The Butter Yak tea is a traditional Tibetan beverage made with, guess what? Yak butter, milk, and a aged tea. Milk is super easy to find, even here in Japan. However, yak butter is really hard to find outside of Tibet. Luckily, we live in a world where there is a near monopoly called Amazon, and you can find just about anything on Amazon. The closest thing to yak butter I could find on Amazon is this. It is a yak ghee, and from my understanding, ghee is just a fancy butter thing, I don't know. The tea in this drink is called pu'er. I'm like 95% sure I said that wrong. It is a fermented tea, not in the alcoholic sense of fermented, but rather just aged, really. They say older the better, but this is the only one I've been able to find, so this is the pu'er I am using. It is also the only tea that can be brewed for hours without ruining the tea. Pu'er is compact and baked into this big cake block. If you have one of those, break off a chunk of it. If you have small pod ones like me, follow the directions on the back of a package. About a minute before it's done brewing, add some salt into the tea and give it a good stir to incorporate the salt into the water. Inside a French press, add roughly 2 small spoonfuls of the yak butter. If you cannot find any yak butter, that's fine. Just use regular cow's butter. You might like it more because it's more of a familiar taste than yak butter. Add the tea to the French press, filtering out all the little grainy bits of tea. The thing you want to do is add some milk. Add milk, but I would say no more than 1/3 of whatever the total water used for the tea is. So if you're making a liter of tea, no more than 300 milliliters of milk. Pumping the French press, you end up churning the tea into a nice, foamy, creamy, delicious drink, and you want to do this for roughly 3 minutes. This is my second time making the Butter Yak tea. The first time I churned it roughly 3 minutes, and this time I churned it only 2 minutes. Out of those 2 times, I would have to say that 3 minutes was better than the 2 minutes. It made it more creamy and more foamy and got all the taste better incorporated throughout the drink. The drink itself was very smooth, buttery, creamy, delicious. I loved it, and will make this again gladly. Quick side note, a thunderstorm has just started in my area, so you might hear some thunder. Pour that into the mug you have closest to you. Make sure it's a spoiler-proof mug, because we're about to talk about this movie. Because Missing Link follows the story of the Missing Link, aka Bigfoot, aka Sasquatch, aka the missing link between ape and man, and his British accent friend, Huge Yak Man. Sorry, typo, Hugh Jackman, aka Sir Lionel Frost, and a free-to-play online game, Fortnite. Sorry, another typo, it's Adeline Fortnite. No relation to the video game. The adventure begins after the Sasquatch writes a letter to Sir Lionel. He travels to the United States and discovers the Bigfoot, giving him the alias of Mr. Link, a nod to Missing Link. Mr. Link wants to find his relatives high in the Himalayas, and Mr. Lionel wants the acknowledgement of his peers in the Adventurer Society. Needing a map, they break into a friend's house. It's more like a mansion if you ask me. Because this is a movie, they naturally get caught. And because the movie needs to continue, and Sir Lionel needs to have a reason for character development, Adeline ends up joining their crew. She ends up actually becoming very important being the voice of reason for Sir Frost, and a love interest of his. It does not work out between them, and I'm glad for that. Not having them get together, I think, was a very good thing, because it would have undercut all the personal growth and development Lionel made throughout his journey having friends. She even points out that he has been nothing but a complete and utter jackwagon throughout this entire movie. Then Lionel and Mr. Link have a heart-to-heart where they give Mr. Link a real name.
Susan.
Yeah, Susan. That should be my name.
They get to Tibet and work their way up the Himalayas. They drink the tea that I just made.
Gamu, perhaps we can try some of your tea.
It is made from yak butter.
And Susan eats a cow patty.
Dung. We burn it for fuel.
Cookie? I really shouldn't be having one of these, but oh, they're so good.
Real comedy gold. They find the racist queen.
Oh, but of course. The country cousin. The redneck.
Tries to kill them all so nobody knows they exist. But because the power of friendship, only the bad guys die and they all live happily ever after. Except for the bad guys that died, but whatever. Susan and Lionel continue on journeys together, being friends to the end. Also at the very beginning of this movie, there's a Kubo Easter egg. This, in my opinion, confirms that all of Laika's movies happen in the same universe. Missing Link is a classic, unlikely friend, and the treasure was in you all along movie. And other than this amazing stop motion art style that I absolutely love, there's nothing particularly special about this movie. It had some really funny parts throughout the movie, but overall, I was just kind of left bored throughout most of it. I love Laika's movies, which is why it's harder for me to accept that this one in particular isn't that great. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your 2 cents on this Laika movie. There is a link in the description where you can rent or buy this movie in case you haven't seen it. And until next tea time, watch a movie and have a relaxing cup of tea.